what's up, guys? Let's jump in. I know we've been hanging out for a little while, but let's talk for a second. So I'm Shaler. I started teaching like 12 years ago, teaching music. I teach in West Philly. Bash is at the school where I teach. Chris was in the Philly Sound Exchange collab last year. Gavin actually was my student. Were you in 4th grade?
Yeah.
So Gavin was in 4th grade. I live in Windmore, so my kids are in Springfield Township as well. Why are these kids so separate? Was like the question I asked. Is like, how do we like? And the kids in the city, like, we're having tons of conversation around race and racism and bias and equity and all these conversations that, as a white kid growing up in the suburbs, I just was never engaged in those conversations. So that was kind of the idea of like, let's bring kids together and use music as like a tool to have these conversations. So when we met with Dice Raw for the first time, you want to come in and hang out, or he was commissioned to write a musical based on the book Why Are All the Black Kids Sitting in the Cafeteria Together? Has anyone ever read that book? Have any of you guys read it or heard of it? You've read?
Yeah, well, I had to skim through it. But
Yeah, it's a hefty book. Well, do you want to say what it's about?
Well, it just sort of talks about like the discussions about race, prejudice, and like how teachers should facilitate those discussions with students. Is sort of what I got from it. And sort of just exploring Black kids' personal experiences with racism.
Do you notice a difference in Springfield, like since you guys have started doing the work?
I've noticed that there's just been some hostility to change from the students, which is understandable because like we never really had those conversations, especially since Springfield being a PWI, there's not a lot of minority representation in the first place, so it's sort of like a reluctance to have these conversations because people don't really understand. But I think the students are open to learning more and to just getting other people's perspectives.
My school tries to, but just like, it's all white high school. Like, it's just that they're trying to like expand, I guess, but it's just like so hard, and no one's like open, like,
Yeah.
just everyone's like very closed off. It's hard.
Yeah, so when you say all white, do you mean like all white?
It's like 97%.
It's us backwards.
Yeah, it's us backwards.
The same thing in my school. Basically like 96%. There was like 2-3 Spanish and like 1 white girl, and that's it.
Yeah. And then your school is like actually, I think, a little bit more diverse.
It's better now than when I was younger. Like
Yeah.
when I was younger, I would be like the only Black kid in my class, but now there's like a few of us, so.
Yeah.
But we don't have those conversations a lot because like critical race theory has been a thing a lot of parents are concerned about, so they've kind of been straddling the line to what they talk about.
Well, hey everybody. I'm glad you guys came through. I'm really appreciative of hearing you guys' creative stuff that I've been hearing. You guys are really talented, the stuff that I did hear. But at the end of the day, I'm just curious to see what you guys come up with. And I just kind of want to step back and just see what happens, because this always could change and it can morph, and I don't like to just lock into anything too specific, this early in the creation process. But I like what I was hearing so far, so I'm like, and I'm like, I'm like, when I heard you doing your thing, right?
Look.
Let that shit ride, baby.
All them times that I was fucked up, I'ma pull up in the Sprinter van and held my hands up to the sky like I ain't give a damn. They say that I done turned up, I done turned into a businessman, and I'm so fuck they done just run up and business. They said that I was locked up.
I was just like, it sounded to me like it's such a different thing than what boom bap hip hop is.
Mm-hmm.
And boom bap is so old. It's almost like oldies. You know what I'm saying?
It is.
And I'm thinking, I'm like, because the kind of rap I do, oldies rap. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, damn, I'm like, it needs to be more youthful.
So we're thinking we're gonna split up into 2 groups right now and
Okay.
do like a little songwriting session. What's up? I come with a hook, some kind of like chord progressions, and then like some kind of conversation, like a back and forth between the characters. All right, does that work?
Let's get a melody first so we can write to a melody.
Definitely about bringing a bunch of different people from different areas, different backgrounds together, and because music is, I won't call it one thing, but like, you know, it's doesn't matter where you're from or who you are, like you can make music with anybody.
Wait, play that 2 times straight and then do the thing where you did that.
Because in a sense, I've lived through I've lived in the ghetto. I lived in a suburban area before. Well, it happened when it was a transition from when my father died. I stayed at my uncle's house, and he used to live in this suburban area. So I grew up there for a little bit. So I know about both backgrounds. So it's like in a sense I could understand both sides.
So who's speaking first? Is this the dad like?
No, I think it should be son addressing father, being like, listen, you can't go around,
You can't do
you
this.
can't not accept the fact that change is happening as of right now.
Yeah. The whole thing though, or is this a back and forth?
I kind of started producing for rap beats when I was like 13, and then it just slowly developed like, hey, I can also add guitar into this, I can also add drums or sing, and then it kind of just been like expanding more and more. Really important to like different kids from different backgrounds, different cultures to like meet and kind of share experiences, and then we can also, the musical aspect of that, of like combining different interests.
Are we coming to like the realization now, or is that later part of the play? Is this just the conversation?
I don't know.
This is just conversation about like you're trying to convince him that this is real, like, and he's like, no, it's fine, like it's whatever.
Yeah. Alright.
Just whenever I feel overly emotional, I just sit down and just write. Like I can basically, if I decide I want to write a song, I can just sit down and write a song. I'm not exposed to anyone other than like my circle of people. I go to an all-girls school. It's private Catholic, like everyone around me is the same. So I just need that exposure, and I need to learn about other cultures and other people.
Okay. So he has some like anxiety then, or some angst. And you're like patient, would you say?
I actually wouldn't consider my character patient. I think she's like kind of just a bit like sort of like not like smothering, but kind of just like, you know, trying to help, but it sort of comes off as a little bit like overwhelming and like kind of bossy, I guess.
Okay, so she's bossy.
Yeah.
So it's almost like a teacher-student relationship.
Yeah.
In a way. How do you feel when your teacher's trying to teach you stuff that you're not really learning back? How do you feel when your teacher's trying to teach you stuff that you're not ready to learn? Frustrated.
Cause I'd be like, well, like you'll hear certain stuff and it'll be like, bro, like why they rapping? But you can't say that. But it'll be like you'll hear you and you'll be like, I'm glad I don't sound like them.
I'm trying to focus on like a more realistic approach to the narrative instead of just kind of like the same thing that you can continuously get from like the media or press or, you know, which is, you know, it's not always true.
What's the feeling you guys are trying to get on this?
We're starting with like son is talking to father, and he's like you're the problem currently, and like you have to be ready to accept the fact that like we have to have these conversations now.
Is he angry? Is the kid angry?
I wasn't writing from an angle.
Trying to get him to look at things.
Yeah, I mean, like feeding, like he's like
Look-
while like
Look around.
He's frustrated?
Yeah.
Is the kid frustrated?
Mhm.
And is the dad frustrated back at him? Of like you're a kid, you don't know anything kind of
Yeah.
thing?
And so the narrative is not necessarily, he doesn't see greatness in him, Bosh. What you're saying is there's a bunch of greatness around, I just don't feel like participating in it. You know what I'm saying? And the reason why I don't feel like participating in it is because historically I hadn't participated in it, but now everybody wants me to participate in it. It's almost like, oh, okay, since George Floyd happened, because here's what I want you to say. It's like, since George Floyd, now everything's changed and everybody wants me to just turn on a happy face. But yo, I just can't turn on a happy face because I'm an angry black man. And it's not because I don't see greatness in myself. It's because if you're a black man and you live in America, if you're not enraged, then I don't know what the hell you're thinking about. You know what I'm saying? You're not even, if you're not enraged, you're not conscious. And that's the narrative.
I came from poverty, never changed, swing with a pocket full of money. Got $1 for all the pain that I was going through in the start. Before he hopped up in the streets, that's what he needed. They said hurt, not a trust him up with you. They was slime.
So we need a hook, like.
Look at our neighbors. Do you think it's by coincidence that we are the same as them? Look at my teachers. Is it by some twisted chance that I look the same as them? If you never ask questions, then Dad, you're the problem. If you live in blissful ignorance, you will never help anyone.
It needs one more line, right?
Yeah.
Before you go, I watched the video online where it was a girl who was basically arguing with her parents about systemic racism. And her dad was like, no, that's not true. And people need to do this. And they just pull themselves up by their own bootstraps. And she was like, no, Dad, you got to understand what I was like. And I was like, well, holy shit. I was like, you know, if I was to say anything, the voice, it should definitely be like that.
If you never ask questions, then Dad, you're the reason. If you live in blissful ignorance, you'll never help anyone. Look around.
Live this life, there's nothing wrong. Look around.
You can't just say there's nothing wrong with something wrong. Look around.
If we went in your school and like blew people away with like some crazy performance and then engaged them in a conversation where they left like, maybe I need to rethink that. Like that would be a powerful thing.
I came from poverty, now chain swing with a pocket full of money. Got $1 for all the pain that I was going through in the start. Before he hopped up in the streets, that's what he did. They told him hard, they can't trust him over, cause they was slimy from the start. Before he hopped up in the streets, that's what he did. They told him hard, they don't trust him over, cause they was slimy from him. I came from poverty, never chance with a pocket full of money. Got $1 for all the pain that I was going through in the start. Before he hopped up in the streets, that's what he did. They told him hard, they can't trust him over, cause they was slimy from him. I came from poverty, never chance with a pocket full of money. Got $1 for all the pain that I was going through in the start. Before he hopped up in the streets, that's what he did. They told him hard, they can't trust him over, cause they was slimy from the start.
Oh